for crop productions. Then in that case, what we do? The first one, A. If the soil turns acidic, then in order to treat it, or we can say neutralize it. In order to treat it means in this case, if the soil turns acidic, then in order to neutralize it, what we use milder bases. We use milder bases such as what we have, calcium hydroxide, that is slackline, the next one calcium hydroxide, chalk powder, that is calcium carbonate, or lime, that is calcium oxide. It means if we are using milder bases, then we can treat the acidity of the soil. The soil will turn neutral. That neutral soil is fit for crop production. The next case, if the soil turns basic, it means the pH is greater than 7. Here, if the soil turns acidic, it means the pH is lesser than 7. If the soil turns basic, then in order to treat it, we use milder acid. And what we have is, what is milder acid we have? That is manures. Which is result of decomposition of vegetal matter. By the use of manures, we can decrease the pH because the nature of manure is acidic. Milder acid, that is manures, which is result of decomposition of vegetal matter, and we can maintain the pH. It means if the soil turns acidic, then in that case, in order to neutralize it, in order to bring its pH to 7, we use chalk powder, we use quicklime, we use slackline. If the soil turns basic, then in order to neutralize it, we use organic manures. Organic manures because the nature of organic manure is acidic. That's why it brings the pH of alkaline soil to 7, and it becomes. Now we will discuss the pH changes and survival of animals. We know our body works better to a pH ranges from 7 to 7.8. The pH of our blood is 7.4. But if the pH of the body changes from this range, then that will lead to disorder on the body. As we have discussed, in case of aquatic life forms, if due to acid rain the pH decreases, then that is not fit for the aquatic organism. Then we have to maintain the pH. And in order to maintain the pH, what we use chalk powder. Let us know. pH changes and survival of animal. So first one, the pH of human body is from 7.0 to 7.8. But if the pH varies from this value, this will lead to various disorder in the body. So the next, what we know, the pH of human blood is what? 7.4. So the next we will discuss the pH of what? Water bodies. If due to acid rain, the pH of water bodies decreases. It means that is it will turn acidic, which is not fit for aquatic life forms. Therefore, in order to maintain the pH, that is 7, we use chalk powder and prevents the aquatic organism from being killed. This is how we know, as a result of pollution, acid rain is there, and we know the acid rain decreases the pH of water bodies, which is not fit for aquatic life forms. In order to maintain the pH, what we use chalk powder, and by the use of chalk powder, we will bring the pH of aquatic life forms to 7. In this way, we will prevent the aquatic life forms from being killed in the water bodies. Next, we will discuss the chemical welfare by the use of pH changes. Let us discuss self-defense by animals and plants by chemical welfare. It means the plants and animal uses the acidic and basic compounds to prevent themselves from the enemies. Let us see by taking various examples how the animal and plants are going to defend themselves from other organisms from being killed. The first one we will discuss, that is the bee. The sting of the bee contains acid, and when it stings us, then it releases acidic secretion in the body that will lead to pain and irritation and swelling. It means the bee defends itself by the use of acidic secretions, and it releases the acidic secretion in the body of enemies, which will lead to pain, irritation, swelling, redness in case of the body of enemies. Then how we will treat it? We know that the bee stings contain acidic secretion. Then in order to cure it, what we use milder bases. It means in order to neutralize the acids released by the bee, we use baking soda, milder bases. We will rub the baking soda in the area of bee sting. Then we will get relief from that pain. To the next, if we are discussing wasps, the wasps contain the alkaline secretion. The wasps contain alkaline substances in its sting, and it injects the alkaline secretion in the enemy's body. Then how to cure it? If it contains alkaline chemical substances, then in order to cure it, we use milder acidic substances. We will use milder acidic such as acetic acid. We will rub acetic acid in the area where there is wasp sting, and thereby we will get relief from that pain. The next is that in case of anti-sting, we know the methanoic acid, which is present in the anti-sting, that can be cured by the use of milder bases, that is baking soda. To the next, we know the nettle plant. The hair of the nettle plant contains methanoic acid. When we get in touch with the hairs of nettle plant, then it injects. It means somehow we get its hair get penetrated in our body, due to which there is transmission of methanoic acid, which will lead to pain and irritation. And in order to cure it, we use baking soda. What we know, in case of bee, in case of ant, in case of nettle plant, they inject, they release acidic substances in our body, and in order to cure it, what we use milder bases such as baking soda or calamine solution, that is a solution of zinc carbonate, to treat it. In case of wasps, which releases alkaline substances in our body, in order to treat it, we use milder acidic in our homes such as vinegar. Let us know it. The first one, the bee sting contain acidic substances. And in order to cure it, we use milder base such as baking soda, that is NaHCO. To treat bee sting, we use baking soda. The next one, the wasp sting contain alkaline substances, and in order to cure it, we use milder acid, that is vinegar. Third one, the antisting contain formic acid, or you can say methanoic acid. In order to treat it, we use milder base such as baking soda. The fourth one, the nettle plant, or we can say the hair of nettle plant. The hair of plant contains methanoic acid. That can be treated by the use of milder base, that is baking soda. What do you see? De-sting, it can be cured by the use of baking soda. The rough sting, which is alkaline, that can be cured by the use of vinegar. The antisting, it is acid, that can be used by the baking soda. The hair of the nettle plant contains methanoic acid, that can be used by the use of baking soda. One thing I will let you to clear, that there is difference between the baking soda and the baking powder. Baking soda, the chemical formula is sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate is termed as baking soda. But if we are using the tartaric acid together with sodium bicarbonate, then that is termed as baking powder. This is how there is self-defense by animal, that is self-defense by bee, self-defense by wasps, self-defense by ants, and self-defense by nettle plant from their enemies by the use of chemicals, this acidic or basic chemicals. We also know how to treat it by the use of milder acidic and bases. We have already discussed the acid. Next we have discussed bases. Now we will discuss salt. We know salt is result of neutralization reaction. It means when acid react with the bases, it result into formation of salt and water. Salt, it is ionic in nature. When it is ionic, it has strong forces of attraction between its constituent ions, and therefore it has high melting point. We know if the salt contains ions, then in solid state it is non-conductor of electricity. But when dissolved in water, it conducts electricity. Salt mostly occur in solid state. Based on the nature of acids which neutralizes the bases, they are named as. Let us discuss salt. What we have? The first one, the salt is result of neutralization reaction. You know what is neutralization reaction? It means the salts are produced when an acid reacts with the bases. Or we can say say that the salts are results of reaction of acid with base. Let us take an example. When sodium hydroxide, this one is base, when react with an acid, that is HCl acid, it results into formation of what? NaCl plus water. This NaCl is salt, which is result of neutralization reaction. What we see? The first part of the salt is obtained from the base, that is sodium, and the next part, that is chlorine, it is obtained from the acid. The next one, what we have? The first part of the salt is obtained from base, and the next part base, and the next part is obtained from acid, that is chlorine. If we are discussing salt, it does not mean that only sodium chloride is salt. We have various salts such as calcium chloride, magnesium sulfate, calcium sulfate. These all together are known as salt. It means if we are saying salt, it does not mean that only sodium chloride. We have already discussed that salt is result of neutralization reaction. So the next, they occur in solid state. To the next, what they have? They will conduct electricity. As I have already told you that the solid sodium chloride in our home, it is non-conductor of electricity. Why it is so? Because they contain iron, but the ions are not free to move. If that ions are not free to move, then they will not conduct electricity. So for that, let them free to conduct electricity. So what we do? We dissolve them in water. It means the electrolyte or the aqueous solution of sodium chloride or the aqueous solution of salt conducts electricity. That